they are clearly different. The I has ticks on the top and bottom, left and right. The L has ticks only on the left at the top. And so they come in handy for some purposes, but for the most part it's better to use a sans font, or also known as sans serif. Sans serif, sans is Latin for without. So this is a serif font because it has ticks. The ticks make it serif, or the ticks are the serif if you want to look at it that way. Sans serif means without serif. It's just a smooth, rounded font. And we'll use Deja Vu Sans. There it is. So as you see, it's just a smooth, rounded font. There's no ticks sticking out at the end of each of the characters. And the only drawback is a lowercase l and an uppercase I look similar. But serif fonts are much easier for the eye to read quickly. That's why a lot of your books that you'll notice, they do have serif fonts, but they are light serifs. The ticks do not protrude very far. Alright, now we'll just walk through creating the document structure from beginning to end. First thing you need, and we'll use a motion for example, would be a heading. And in this case, since it's a legal type document, we would say Court of Common Pleas, and then the county and state you live in. So we'll put Hamilton County, Ohio. The comma between county and state's actually not required. I always do that out of habit. Now, since it's a heading, you'll want it centered, so you'll click centered. And since it's a heading, you're going to want it larger than all the other font. So we'll create the font size of 18. And since it's a heading, half the time you're going to want it bold, so we'll click bold. And as you can see, it spans the whole area. Now these lines that are right here, those are not lines that are going to be printed out on the paper. Those are lines for you to know where the margins are for that page. You can adjust the margins by grabbing the separator between the white area here and the grayed out area there. You can adjust them like so. But it's usually best to leave them default. Those margins are there because the people who created this program know what's best. Now, of course, like I said, you can always customize it depending on the document you want, etc., etc. Now, anyway, you can adjust the lines left and right also at the top by moving these things. These set where the text begins at. As you can see, moving these little cursors set the margin, even though the page's margin is still back here. And unfortunately, undo. Oh, prove me a liar. Okay, I see. It seems that's a new feature. Like I said, I don't keep up with this stuff, but it used to be undo would not reset margins. It would just undo whatever you did in the document itself. So that's kind of a nice addition. Alright, anyway, now the first thing you need to take in consideration with a court document anyway is that you got to have an 1.5 inch margin from the top of the page, so they can put the timestamp and they file the document. That should suffice. All right, below that, we're going to be using a case caption. Under the heading always goes a case caption. And what I find the easiest way to do case captions is to use a table. And right here you have your table option. Now with tables, for those of you that are not familiar, which this video is meant for, with computers in general, table is like synonymous with a grid. You've got columns that go up and down, and also if you're thinking of this in terms of a database, you could also call these fields. And then you've got rows that go left and right. So here you would have 2 rows consisting of 6 columns, and here you would have, there we go, and here you'd have 6 columns, or rather 3 rows consisting of 3 columns consisting of 6 rows, and then here you would have 3 rows consisting of 6 columns. The columns go up and down vertical, and the rows go left and right horizontal. And the space inside in between each of these is called the cell of the table. Anyway, we're going to use a 2-column layout with 1 row to separate the parts of the case caption. And as you see, once you're inside the table, once you focus inside of a cell, it pops down this little extra table menu. That's just a, if you're not inside of a table, you just have the option here to create a table, unless you add more buttons. Once you're inside a table, it gives you all the extra menus so it doesn't clutter up the toolbar. You could take this and actually drag it up onto the toolbar and create a new toolbar with table options, like so. And now you have all your table formatting options in its own toolbar, so it doesn't get in your way down here. Alright, now we're going to need a little bit of empty space, and we'll change our font size down to 12. The minimum font size you're allowed to have in a legal document is 12-point font size. And so let's just cover both these areas and change it down to 12-point font size. Alright, and let's give ourselves another empty line. And then what you'll often have is State of Ohio versus some guy. And these are usually left aligned when they're in the left side. The state versus, or the person versus this person or whatever, that's usually left aligned. And this side, you got your case number, and then your judge. We're going to use Judge Judy here. I hate that bitch. Anyway, then your motion. Motion for acquittal. And then these are often right aligned or right justified. Now, as you'll see here by clicking the print preview icon or page preview icon, when this page is going to be printed, it'll show you what you'll see here. As you'll see, again, there are no lines going around the page. Those are only for your eyes to know where the margins lie. But the table by default has borders around it. Now you can change this behavior by focusing inside one of the table cells by clicking in it, and then go to the borders option. Now it used to be that you could actually pick and choose which sides you want to have borders on, but that option seems to be a thing of the past, because now if you choose an option from the borders options list, that is the only option you can choose. You can't choose, for example, you can't choose left and bottom together. It's only a left border, a right border, a left and right border, a top border, a bottom border, a top and bottom border, or a border on all four sides, or no border at all, which is what we're going to choose. Now, because we need a separator, and what we have to do is focus in this cell and tell this cell only to have a left border. And as you'll see, you'll still see a gray border all the way around it, but that applies to the same rule here. It's only for your eyes to judge where the table lies within the document. After hitting the print preview, you will see that those borders are not actually there. The only border that remains is the one that you said that you would like to have separating the different fields of your case caption. Alright, and a lot of times you're going to want to separate your heading from your case caption. So what you can do is hit --enter, and it creates a line underneath the heading. Well, sometimes in some cases you don't want a line directly against the text. You'd like it to be down one line. But if you go before that line and hit enter, it kind of screws you up by putting another line in there. You can't get rid of that line underneath the text. What you do is just hit undo until you're back into the plain text that you were typing. Hit enter, go back to the beginning of that line, hit enter, and it'll put it down another line. Go to the end of the line, hit enter again. And now you have that line right where you want it. And as you can see, by deleting the lines below it, it has merged itself with that table. And then you can go below it and hit --enter, and you have a line below it. But I never have figured out how to get that line to merge with the table. If anybody knows that, feel free to leave it a comment in my forums, because that bugs the crap out of me. So what I always have to do is A,